Hey everybody, how are you? I'm not even going to do an intro, just we're going to get into the video, okay? So ladies and gentlemen, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe and hit that bell so you know when I upload. And most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy today's video. I'm sorry for taking so long. Between February 15th, 1976 and March 16th, 1977, two boys and two girls aged between 10 and 12 years old went missing outside their homes en route to or from another location in Oakland County, Michigan, north of Detroit. Each child's body was discovered in a public area within 19 days of his or her disappearance. The children were all either strangled or shot, with the two boys having been sexually abused. The four deaths triggered a murder investigation, which at the time was the largest in the U.S. history. With Detroit's two daily newspapers, as well as the area's numerous radio and television stations covering the case, a presentation on WXYT radio entitled Winter's Fear, The Children, the Killer, the Search. The Oakland County child killer is given to the name of the perpetrator or perpetrators responsible for the serial killings of at least 4 children in Oakland County, Michigan. The victims were held captive before being killed, and forensic DNA testing has indirectly implicated 2 suspects, one of whom has since died, with the other serving life in prison for other offenses against children. A DNA profile created from samples taken from some of the victims' body is from the main perpetrator, but does not match the DNA of anyone named in the connection with the case. The perpetrator's identity is unknown. Following is a timeline of when the victims were last seen, and then when the victims were found. Mark Stebbins was 12 years old. His hometown was Ferndale, Michigan. Was last seen at 1:30 p.m. on February 15th, 1976. His body was found February 19th, 1976, in his hometown of Ferndale. Cause of death was suffocation, and he also was sexually assaulted. Mark's parents were divorced, and he lived with his mother, who came from a Roman Catholic family, and he was described as a loner and a quiet and good student. Mark was last seen and heard from at 1:30 p.m. on February 15th. He talked to his mother on the phone. He was letting her know that he was leaving the American Legion Hall to head home. He never made it, and at 11 p.m. that night, Mark's mother called the Ferndale Police Department to report Mark missing. At about 11:45 a.m., February 19th, 1976, a businessman named Mark left his office building and headed toward a drugstore located inside the New Orleans Mall at 10 Mile and Greenfield Roads. On his way, something caught his eye in the northeast corner of the parking lot. He saw what looked like a mannequin dressed in a blue jacket and jeans, but as he got closer, he knew he stumbled into a situation much more grim. It was a body in a human body. It was the lifeless body of a 12-year-old Mark Stebbins. Another person told the police that they walked their dog around that parking lot just so it could get some exercise. That was around 9:30 a.m., the same morning the body was found. The man said his dog was on a 20-foot leash and walked that part of the lot. He said that the body was there at that time, his dog would have found it. If that's true, Mark's body wasn't there at 9:30 a.m., but it was at 8:45 a.m. when Mark found him. That means there was a 2-hour and 15-minute window in which someone or some people dumped Mark's body in the area. Mark was a 7th grader at Lincoln Junior High School. He stood 4'8" and weighed about 100 pounds. His strawberry blonde hair would have likely been covered by the hood on his parka as he walked in the cold, thin air. The autopsy showed the cause of death as asphyxia by way of smothering, but the report also showed rope burns on his neck, wrist, and ankles. It appeared that Mark was also sexually assaulted. Jill Robinson, hometown, Royal Oak, Michigan. Her age was 12 and was last seen late afternoon of December 22nd, 1976. Her body was found at 8:45 a.m. on December 26, 1976, near I-75 and Big Beaver Road in Troy, Michigan. Cause of death was a shotgun blast to her head. She was not sexually assaulted. Jill's parents were divorced, and she lived with her mother in Royal Oak and visited her father regularly. Her family was also Roman Catholic. She was described as a loner, a smart and good student. Carol Robinson had 3 daughters and was recently divorced. She and her oldest, Jill, would butt heads on one occasion in December of 1976. They did just that. It was an argument that led to Jill running away from home. She was last seen at a hobby shop on Woodward Avenue, then the Donut Depot on Maple Road between 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. on December 23rd. According to Carol, Jill's mother, the two were arguing about biscuits. Jill was asked to help make them for dinner, and she refused. Sometime after a heated back and forth, Carol told her to leave until she became a part of the family. Jill took that quite literally. She went to her room, packed up her clothes and plaid blanket into a denim bag. Before she left, she dressed herself in blue jeans, a shirt, and orange winter coat, and a blue knit cap with a yellow design on it. And then she would just leave, just like her mother asked her to. She rode her bike away from her mother and her home. Jill would later be seen by a family friend at a hobby shop on Woodward Avenue, just 4.5 blocks away from her house. The next morning, 2 witnesses said they saw her in the Donut Depot on Maple Road. This was between 6 and 7 a.m. Jill's father, Thomas Robinson, made a call to police at 11:30 p.m., the day she left. Jill was found on the side of the I-75 near Big River Road. She was laying on her back, fully clothed, not bound in any way, but a ring of a deep dark red surrounded her head. The killer had transported her here, then shot her at close range in the head with a shotgun. It was later decided that Jill was fed and cared for at least 3 days. She seemed to be washed clean and with no signs of sexual abuse at all. Christine Milchlick was 10 years old. Her hometown was Berkeley, Michigan, and was last seen on January 2nd, 1977. She was missing for 19 days, and she was found in a snowbank along Bruce Road in Franklin Village, Michigan. Cause of death was suffocation, but, however, she was not sexually assaulted. Christine's parents were divorced, and she lived with her mother in Berkeley, Michigan. Christine was described as shy, quiet, and an average student with a few grades. She was a 5th grader at Patton Gill Elementary School. Police said there were no signs of violence and that she was in the same clothes she was last seen in. Her body was on its back, knees drawn up. That's when a Franklin Village mailman, Jerry Wozni, saw her. He saw her blue jacket in the snow on the same route he'd been driving for 8 years. State Police Sergeant Robert Patterson supervised the removal of the girl's body. 35 officers from 9 different departments made a task force that the prosecutor Patterson called the strongest effort I've ever seen in this county. The task force was headquartered in Southfield. Police Sergeant Joseph Crease was charged with tracking down Christine's abductor. Christine's mother, Deborah Ashcroft, said people keep talking about the Royal Oak girl, Jill Robinson, but I'm just not even going to think about that, Ashcroft said. At that time, Christine had 2 younger brothers, and according to her mother, they kept asking, "When is she coming home?" Shortly after Christine's disappearance, a child from the elementary school she was attending was missing, which set off a panic at the school. A frantic search went about for 20 minutes, and the child eventually was found on school grounds. Tensions at that time were at an all-time high. Parents at Patton Gill Elementary School were lined up outside school to pick up their children. Many of them used to walk home, but not anymore. When Christine's body was found in a snowbank at the end of the dead street in Franklin Village, it was so frozen, officials had to wait until the following day to perform an autopsy because of the body's frozen state. Wozni, the mail carrier who found her, said, "I saw a hand, and it scared the hell out of me." Christine was the 5th young person from Oakland County to die within the year. As of late January 1977, Patterson had no evidence to link Mark and Christine's death. The last known victim, Timothy King, was 11 years old. His hometown was Birmingham, Michigan, and was last seen March 16, 1977, and his body was found on March 23, 1977, in a ditch along Gill Road, about 300 feet south of 8 Mile Road in Livonia. He was missing for 7 days. His cause of death was suffocation and was also sexually assaulted. At this rate, it was only the males that were being sexually assaulted. Timothy's parents were not divorced. He lived with them in Birmingham, Michigan. His family was also Roman Catholic. Timothy was described as an outgoing boy who was athletic and well-liked. On a cool March evening, Timothy King left his Birmingham home with 30 cents he borrowed from his older sister. Catherine and him headed to the corner store. He wanted some candy, and it wasn't rare for him to make this trip about 3 blocks. He left with his skateboard and football and headed towards the Hunter Maple Pharmacy. Tim's older brothers, who had 2, were not around. When one was babysitting a neighbor's kids while the other was rehearsing for a school play. Tim's parents were out at dinner at a nearby Birmingham restaurant. A clerk, Amy Walters, said that she sold Tim candy and he left through the back door into a dark parking lot at around 8:30 p.m. Birmingham Police Chief Jerry Tobin said, "Whatever happened to Tim happened between the time he left the store and before he got home. It doesn't look particularly good at this time." This was now the 7th child that had gone missing in the area. The 6 prior to Timothy had been found and murdered. Tim was only the 2nd boy. The hysteria was at an all-time high, according to Catherine. Tim's sister, Tim asked that she would leave the front door ajar so that when he got home from the store, he would get back in easily. Catherine also left for the night, and it would have been the first time little Timothy would have been home alone at night for the period of time. Timothy's parents got back home at around 9 to find the door ajar, but there's no sign of Tim. The King family searched everywhere for Tim. They called his friends, searched the neighborhood and surrounding area. By 9:15 a.m. the next day, Chief Tobin called on the task force requesting their full involvement. By the afternoon, the day after Timmy went missing, headquarters were now established in the Adams Firehouse, just a few blocks from the King's family home. Door-to-door searches were conducted and classmates questioned. Tim was abducted on a Wednesday by Thursday. 100 lawmen from Oakland County, volunteers, Oakland County Sheriff's investigators, the county helicopter, and the special Oakland County Task Force were all scouring the area. That Thursday, the Kings stayed behind closed doors most of the day, but did say, "We very much want Tim to come home." That was Barry's, Tim's father. "We love him very much. He had a basketball game Saturday and missed practice today. He's active in school play, and he was an achiever and a participator. We just loved him and want him to come home," Barry said. Barry told reporters that the week before Tim told his mother that he wouldn't speak to strangers, that he would run away from them. "It's awful," said a neighbor of the King family who also had an 11-year-old daughter. "When it happens to other people, you feel sympathy. And when it strikes you in your neighborhood, it's pretty terrifying." The parents of Tim held a press conference in which they begged for their son to be returned. His mother directed part of the appeal to her son, saying she would feed him his favorite meal at KFC when he got home. Days later, the boy's body was discovered. He was wearing freshly cleaned and pressed clothing, and his stomach contents revealed that his last meal had been KFC chicken. After a while, they had a break in the case. Eventually, a woman came forward with some vital information. She said that she saw Tim talking to a man in the pharmacy parking lot. She said Tim and the man were about 2 car lengths away from her. She was able to describe the man she saw talking to the boy, whom she believed to be Timothy King. This witness also described the vehicle she believed the man to be driving, a dark blue AMC Gremlin with a white stripe on his side. She called it a hockey stick stripe. Police say the man described by witnesses was between 25 and 35 years old. He was white, with dark brown hair, cut in a shag style. He had mutton chop sideburns, a fair complexion, and a husky build. He was driving a late model blue AMC Gremlin with white wall tires. police also said they suspected Tim was abducted by one or possibly two men, and that the person or people could have been involved in other 6 cases of murdered children from the area. "We suspect we're dealing with a sophisticated, intelligent, educated man," said Chief Tobin. Tobin also said that this man was the type of person a child would trust instinctively, a chilling thought for everyone in the community. Today, many of the families are still left scrambling for the pieces and the evidence to find their children's killer. Even Tim's father, Barry, actively searches the truth. He spent thousands and thousands of dollars obtaining information and documents through the Freedom of Information Act. However, it has come to no avail, and is now believed that it's possibly a cover-up. Hello everybody, it's been a while. So last week I had to get a tooth removed and I was just not in any sense ready to record a video. My mouth was swollen for about 2 or 3 days, and then I just kind of lost motivation because I was just really trying to focus on making sure that my mouth healed correctly. And obviously I'm safe to say that it's good now. I can have pizza. That was literally the first question that came out of my mouth was, "Hey, can I have pizza?" And yeah, I had pizza last night and was able to eat it normally. Yay! Anyway, so I just wanted to talk about this case a little more here. So this case was super fascinating, and you gotta think, like, why did they only sexually assault the boys and not the girls? It doesn't make any sense. At the same time, it's also, there's a theory that I was reading that this was possibly 2 serial killers, and that one was like a dominant over the other. So like the more dominant serial killer was like, "Hey, go find somebody and then we're gonna do this." And it's possible that maybe the dominant killer was a female, but I believe that there was a phone call like into a tip line by a male that was saying that I'm the dominant and the other guy is basically my slave, and he does what I tell him to do. But anyway, most importantly, rest in peace to these victims. They did not deserve to die this young, and they had their whole lives ahead of them, and they died in very horrific ways. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, hope you guys liked the video, and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe once again, and I'll see you guys soon.